This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, hello. So today I wanted to just do a simple analysis video. Um, and analysis is spelled wrong. But today I did want to do a simple analysis video. And this just basically me just keeping it very simple on how it is that I'm analyzing, and to also just keep you up to date just with my progression, and also um, the way that I'm kind of like getting to my entry just a lot more simpler. So because we don't want to really complicate it analyze, and I think people can be so technical and just so over analytical that they're really just complicating um, their analysis. And I just want to kind of show you guys and breeze through steps now that you've gone through the education and you've learned about drop based drops, and you've learned about peaks and valleys, and you learned about order flow, and you've learned about supply and demand. I just wanted to go through a simple analysis on how to get to your actual entry, your exit, and even a stop loss, so that you can practice this over and over and over, just these certain steps, and you're pretty much able to analyze any chart that you really pull up, and you'll know how to approach it the same way every time. And it pretty much leads you to a big idea of where to enter, a big idea of where the direction of the market is going. So we just want to keep that simple. So we are on the German 30 chart, and it's just a pretty simple chart, but it is an index chart. So just with forex or futures or indices or whatever it is that you're trading, you pretty much can approach it with the style of supply and demand and order flow, because that's just going to be all over the chart. So no matter what chart you're on or what market you're trading, you're pretty much having the same approach. And anytime I'm pulling up a chart, I'm automatically going to the monthly. So by now, you really should be already using Thinkorswim platform. And if you're not, then you have to pretty much utilize your whatever system you're using, whether it's MetaTrader or TradeWay or whatever you're using to analyze. Make sure that you know you are able to analyze it from this standpoint. So it really shouldn't matter what platform you're using. But me personally, Thinkorswim gives me so much data, and it allows me to see the candles so clear that I just love the Thinkorswim platform. So if you can, and I'm teaching you, definitely you want to be Thinkorswim. It works on Mac and Windows. So this is really what you should be on. And that way that is a lot easier for you to follow along with me. As you know, I always set my tools up to where they're right here on my screen. And you pretty much just do that by going to, you pretty much just go to settings. So you can go to style, you can go to settings, and then here it is, my tools, add on chart, and then you just go in and you edit them by hitting this, and then that should allow you to add buttons and edit and do this and that. But we're not really getting all into that today, but I just want to show you how I do have my tools right here at hand. So when you go on monthly, it's gonna pretty much show you this data right here. And so as of right now, it just looks like, okay, what is this? But if I were to zoom in, which I'm just holding down my right mouse and I'm zooming in on this data. So this right here is allowing me to see the monthly data just pretty much at a quick glance. So once I have zoomed in to the area, I'm automatically wanting to put this in a range. So my range is going to be from the high to the low, and this just lets you know pretty much as of now where the market is and what direction you pretty much have on there. So I'm using my price level to just go ahead and just identify this really quickly. And so this right here. And so I'm just labeling my high and my low. And so this right here automatically lets me know what range I'm in. If I want to go ahead and change this, a lot of people, they like to pretty much change the color of it. And so if we were, and I'll just make it solid just so we know it is a pretty much going to be serving as supply. So we all know that our peaks are pretty much serving as supply by now. So this is just me doing that. I don't want to get into that. You need to go to your applying information, that way you can identify this in the market. But this is how you will pretty much analyze and apply the information that you've learned so far. So we're just going to label this demand, because this is the very low. It's serving as a valley pretty much, and it's the lowest price point that we have. We'll leave the color still blue, but we'll make it solid. And so right now we see that the market has definitely created a low, and it created a supply. It's already coming from supply and is pretty much heading back down to demand. And so by you seeing this on monthly, I automatically know that the direction for German 30 right now is in a downtrend, and it's already halfway there. Now, if we were to put, by me knowing this from the high and the low, I'm like, it's coming from supply, so I know it's heading to demand. Yes, I can take the sale and jump on the sale to be heading into it. And this is just how I'm looking at it, guys. Yes, I can. Yes, I see the sale that I could possibly make, but then I will be trading into the origin of the buy. So if I were thinking as a high probability player, then I know that I can catch the beginning of the move by really just setting up for the buy that's here. So when I'm looking at this, I know that yes, I see it's in the downtrend. Yes, when it pulls back, I can catch it at some of this order flow right here or right here. But it could be wiser if you're wanting to be a lot more conservative, that, hey, I already know where it's heading. This is right here going to be the origin of the area. Boom and boom, origin. I'm at very low altitude, so I want to be buying up in here. Yes, this right here is very high altitude, and this is applying altitude. So this is very high altitude. It has already caused itself to leave high altitude. We are 50% or 61% of this trend, and I'm sure that's what it is. I'm going to put this on here. So yes, we're already 61% of it, and it's retracing off of it. So when it catches this order flow right up in here somewhere, I have to zoom in to more order flow, because this right now is just pretty much is huge in time frame. I want to go to a lower time frame. I may can see some order flow on weekly and daily. But if it retraces back in this area to where it's a little bit more high prob for sellers, then yes, I could sell it, but it's probably, it's definitely on its way still heading down. So the best move would be just be setting up in the origin. The origin is super high probability. So so now that we know that, we are 61% in the trend, and I don't want to be buying and selling just because it's in the 51 or the 61, in the 50 or the 61 or, the 38. Like, that's not my reason for buying. I want to buy order flow. Now, if order flow matches, which, this will be order flow, if that matches with the zone, then that's just confluence to why I could. And someone could have been buying off of this area due to order flow being here. And then also due to it being in the 61%. So you had confluence to really buy this, and you want to take that into consideration. But my thinking is that, hey, I know that this right here is headed down here. I can catch it from this origin down here or here, and pretty much take it out. And then that way I'm taking the very long trade of taking it back upward. And that way that you're in the beginning, you're catching a lot of pips, and then your location is going to be very safe no matter what the fluctuation is, why it travels up to this. So a lot of people don't like fluctuation. So if you don't like fluctuation of seeing your profit become in and out, or seeing profit being returned back to the market, then you want to make sure that your location is very prime as far as being in the origin, or being here in the origin if you were on the seller. So if a person is selling here or selling here, they're pretty safe no matter how many times this thing kind of retraced or fluctuated doing its travels to pretty much get back down here to demand. So like I told you, I'm more worried about this origin here because it's already halfway there. So I might as well be sitting in position and in place. So I'm looking right here in this area. So now that I know the direction of the market, I already know, where a good origin as far as low altitude. I can be sitting at, then I'm pretty much going to be lowering myself in time frame. So yes, I'm aware that it is 61% of the trend. Yes, I have figured out the direction that it's in, and currently it's coming from supply. So that means it's in a downtrend. That means sellers are in control as of now. But as it travels down here to lower altitude, the buyers will begin to begin to be in control. And so therefore I can be setting up in low altitude with the buy here at the origin of this low. So I just go down in time frames. So now that we went to the monthly, and as you see, the monthly simplifies it. I mean, it automatically just shows you the mountain, and when you're looking at the mountain, you can tell whether it's in high altitude or low altitude, or whether it's in the middle. As of now, it's in the middle. So we really, if you're off of wheel education, we shouldn't be trading in the middle. If you're in a sale, then you should stay in that sale and let it continue to travel on down here. But if you're not in a trade at all, then you should be setting up at low altitude, because you know that's where the market is heading. So I'm going to go right here to a weekly. And so now that I'm dropping down to weekly, all that does is give us way more data. And I'm able to check out way more order flow. So as I'm zooming in, I'm pretty much just seeing way more data now. Now we have way more candles. I can definitely pretty much see where the market is forming a lot more order flow and forming a lot more supply here. So now that this is trending back up, I know that this possibly could be an area, because it has continued to create fresh order flow on the way down. So this was the original and the origin of the move, but it has created lower supply levels, and so that does replaces the supply. And so that once it returns, this could be an area where it could possibly continue to trend down, or this could be an area to where it could possibly continue to trend down due to supply constantly being replaced and lower. Especially when you see, as if you studied market structure, you see that this structure was broken, and also you see that it caused a BTC. So therefore we are definitely in a downtrend as of now, but it is heading to demand. So we could be setting up for some high probability origin trades. And that's just how I'm looking. That's just how I'm thinking. So if you're thinking the same way, then you're gonna really be successful, and you're gonna really be profitable. So as of now, I do see and that this is serving as demand. And then we also have another area here to where it completely had pretty much trended out of the zone completely, and it also caused the very peak, that structure high, to be broken. So this right here is like the order flow that definitely caused the high to be broken, and that way that it allowed demand to pretty much form and continue its way on up. So you see that the structure here was broken. It came back down and retested into the structure broken where order flow had resided, and it continued on out. So this right here are two areas that we definitely can be looking into as far as buying. You will have the high of the zone, you will have the low of this first zone here, and if it breaks this, and you see that it already retested, so a lot of people are like, well, I want it here, but you see it already retested. And the fact that it already retested there might not be any orders there strong enough to send it right back out. It has already done it, so you can't expect this to, once it returned down, to be trying to buy it here, because you're on a small time frame, and it's showing to be it's showing to be an origin to you, because you're on small time frame. Because on weekly, you already see that it's just a retest. It's just a retest of order flow right here, and the orders may not be there anymore. So you really want to look just a little further down to areas of order flow to where it hasn't been tested yet. And so this will be more probability for you, because you're going to be in the first retest of this order flow. And so if you are playing a little bit more risky and you want to make sure that you're in a trade, then you can place your order here. Or if you want to make sure that you're wanting to get in the trade, but you don't want a lot of drawdown, and that's like to where you would be negative in your trade to where it has pulled against you before taking off, then you can be more in the middle, or you could definitely just place a trade here to where you see it's just the beginning of this order flow here. And so this is like way more high probability, but you may not get in this trade, because what if it pulls here and then it just takes off from there, and it allows you to receive 2, 3, 400 pips in that trade. And a lot of people are saying where, as you know, I did explain to you my Fibonacci's. And so if I'm placing my fibs, here like in the middle of the zone, and then I'll just pretty much just take this to the next level of, I can just take this to the next level, structure level, and then it can just tell me, it could just show me where my take profits could possibly bleed. My settings for my take profits is a little different. So if you can, pause this and put your settings as this, and then that way that you can have your take profit zones there. You also can change the 3 most important with the Fibonacci. I explained the Fibonacci to you, but these are the settings to my Fibonacci as far as my take profits and things of that nature. I may have way more curves than you, so you'll just add curve and just enter in the number percentage, and then you also can mimic my color format if that's what you wanted to do. So that's how you adjust that. Pause it, do yours how you need it, screenshot it, or whatever the case may be. That's how it goes. Well, this allows me to see, where my take profits could possibly be. And it's not telling you nothing that you can't see. You can just see that, of course, if this pulls back here, this is going to be a peak. So you can take profit somewhere up in here or somewhere up in here, because it's creating these peak levels to where those are going to be your opposing seller points when you're buying this up. So, the take profit or the Fibonacci areas aren't telling you anything that you don't know. Of course, I know that the market could have pulled back here at the, at this little zone, because of course it's obvious that order flow is here. It's obvious that this created some kind of base, and this right here has some kind of orders here. So when it returns back for the first time, of course it's going to pull out of there. I don't need my Fibonacci's to show me 50 to 38%. So don't use it as a crutch, just use it as assistance in your style, and don't just depend completely on the Fibonacci's, because you can visually see that order flow is here, because it definitely broke out, and it broke this whole phase that it was even trading in, and it continued on up to the upside, because you knew orders was here. And like I tell you all the time, just look a little bit lower and you could have been safer. If you was here at the bottom of this base buying, then you probably had a minimum drawdown if you took that trade. But you don't want to take that trade for the long haul, because you know that it is a downtrend. You are hitting a lot of supply, and it is a good idea that this thing could enter here. It is a good idea that this thing can really enter into this zone, and it's heading towards demand pretty much. So you know that you have that idea. So no need in trying to take, your small time frame trades and hold them forever, when you already know the intended direction is in a downtrend right now, and it can be headed here. So you really can set up for the buy, or you can take the sell. But do know, if you take this sell into the zone, you're coming against a lot of strong, smart money, which is the bigger institutes who move the market, and you're trading into the origin, which your knowledge and your education tells you and shows you that, hey, I'm trading into high probability buying area. So I want to be careful with that. So if you're trading into that and you take an L, it's only your fault, because you should really be being aware and reading what the market is telling you. So you know what the origin of a zone is, you know what low altitude is, and you know what happens when the market gets there. So if you knew all of that, then hey, it's like, okay, I want to be buying in this area, not selling too much into this area. Now, if you are here or here, you're safe, because it's not going to fluctuate and fling you out. You'll just take the profit that you've gotten so far, because you know that the information and the data is telling you something different now. And this is just us getting in on some of the some of the entries that we may want to do. And this is the area, and this is also area, and you'll just come here and do the same thing to where, hey, I can be setting up at the top of the zone, or I can be in the middle of the zone, or I can be at the very end of the zone. But do know, it being at the very bottom of the zone, these orders may cause the market to trend out a lot faster and not get you in if you're playing very safe at the bottom of the zone. And so even with this being said and us seeing order flow, I can go down to daily now. And so if I'm going down to daily, it just allows me to see the zone even more with precise. And so therefore, you know that you do have this zone here. You do know that and this market closes every day. So that's why so many gaps on here, because this market does close every day. So if it's closing daily, then, it's going to show gaps as far as the market being closed. And when it open back up, it's at a different price because the market is not really closed. It's just a broker, allow closing access to you. So, with this being said, you already know that this is coming in. If you look at Wheel's market structure, you know that this is making that market structure. This pretty much is making that market structure pattern. And it's in your notebook to where I've showed you to notice this pattern right here. And so that's when, you do have this is how demand looks when it's forming. So if you can pretty much become very familiar with this and how demand look when it's forming, especially with market structure, this is going to be it right here. So you have where it pretty much came out and it pulled back in to retest it, and this right here, the fact that it even rejected out of this area, it created demand, and when it pulled back and retested it, it created a higher low than this, and then it came out and broke the structure high that it was formed. So that lets you know that, hey, we are definitely in the uptrend. If you can tend to notice that in areas of zones where the market has turned, then it's going to be better. And so even with this one, the market came down, created a structure. This right here did get down and get lower orders, but it came out breaking this structure. So it still shows you that W that everybody likes to mimic. And when you're talking about sellers, you will notice that it does the same thing up here. So pretty much, and this is just even a bigger M that it made. So you'll see that it definitely comes in, and once this structure breaks, then that just shows you that it's in that downtrend. Even if we were to, we probably will have to go even lower. We can go to 4 hour, and it'll show you on here to where that structure is definitely just constantly doing that. And it just shows you that, yes, it does have this structure, but once it breaks, it allows you to see that it's just continuing down, and it just continues to do this. It makes those same M's and W's all throughout. When you enter the zone and you see that an M or W is being formed, and you know that that is supply or demand being formed and created, and you already know what direction this should be going in. You have the zone telling you that, you have market structure patterns telling you that, and whatever other confluence that you're putting with and the lower you go down the time frame, it really just is just giving you more and more data. So if we already had seen on monthly that this thing is in a sale, and so when it gets here and we start retesting some of this, it's like either you can settle for this, or people who want to trade just a lot more and just have to trade or just want to trade, you already see that this right here has been tested, this right here has been retested, so possibly this could get here. You already know that possibly this right here could get here because this hasn't been tested yet. So this will be way more high probability than some of this. It possibly could just turn here due to refreshing of supply there. But whatever you need to do to definitely get confluence, we can put the fibs on here. And so that would be more of a 50% zone. Right now it's in the 30%, but it did do that. So I just feel that being in this area, and I didn't even know that was like, I mean, I can look at the trend and see that that's kind of 50-ish percentage in the area, but I just knew that this was order flow here that hasn't been tested. So if you wanted to come there and just go with the sale, then it also, as you can see, the take profit areas are here and here. And that's no surprise because those are the areas that I would be looking at to be buying. So if it's telling you to exit here as soon as you get in this zone, exit here, in this zone. So something must be here that's, causing it to be lower. But, all of this is pretty much just all the fib is just pretty much putting you at these structure highs, middle structure, and structure low. So low altitude, high altitude type. Everything is the same. So all you got to do is just relate it. But as you can see, if these are my take profit zones, which is the negative 27, negative 67, when it comes to if I was selling this, yes, it's telling me to get out of the zone that I'm even thinking about buying in. So like I was telling you, just be careful with selling into that high probability area. And just even if we were to go just a little bit higher, just to show you something. Okay, so this take profit here is like the 127 zone area too. So it's like up here, and that's just pretty much going to be supply because if we already sold there in the beginning, we already know that we're going to be coming higher. Go to monthly. We already know that we should be going higher and maybe looking at some of the structure that's a little bit higher since this has already been retested. But you're going to get a good pullback there too, like once it returns. But yes, so this right here just pretty much allows us to see that, hey, this is just how I really want to be thinking with this. And I wanted to keep this video, pretty short and simple. But I mean, even when I'm looking at weekly or monthly, like I'm just buying at low altitude and I'm selling at high altitude. And if it can show me that, if you can pretty much recognize what they call M's and W's, but to be market structure, then it's like boom, there it goes. And now this structure low right here is being broken and we're in a downtrend. So all I did was just come back and retest order flow that could be, definitely there. All I did retest this whole little break could be order flow there. We went down into smaller time frame to really show order flow. And then it just broke right on out. So you had several times to catch it. If you didn't catch it high altitude, you could have catch it more medium altitude, but it was still good sales and you knew that you were in the selling because this right here had created and formed supply. So even if you're at the zone and you know that this should be somewhere in the zone, and so when it retraced back here, you know that, okay, I'm somewhere in this zone to where supply has been created. It's structure low, broke structure low. That right there should have been a VTC break for you. So if that was a VTC break for you, then a lot just showed into that. So if you're applying your information and that's a VTC, if that's a VTC break, boom. So when they come back and retest this order flow, boom, you could have been in the sale. So that would be you just taking it late if you're not just taking it because of the zone being there and you wait on supply to be formed. And this is how it looks when it's forming. It's going to break some kind of structure and VTC it. And that lets you know that, hey, when it's pulled back and retest all of this, trend zone, order flow, look, it's at the bottom of the order flow that's here, the base that was here. So all I did was come to the base of the peak that had been formed pretty much. And then it's like, boom, you down here in the sale. And this was good high altitude. It was good order flow. Supply had been formed. Trend line had been broken, VTC. And so you're just pretty much just running through your head all of your knowledge and what you know the information to mean. So if I'm in an uptrend and I know that we're becoming into high altitude, I see that, structure low has been broken. So it's like, okay, this has convinced me, VTC. I know that it has convinced me that it wants to sell. So when it comes back and retrace in this area, being in this supply zone here, boom, I can sell it. It's just all about implementing and telling yourself this is what the data means. I studied, I have the knowledge, and so now that I know the knowledge, I know when I see it what it means. What is the market telling me by me seeing the information that I have studied? And so when you see the information that you studied, you know that you're selling at high altitude. You know that supply has been formed. It has BTC. Everything, all the signs are telling you what sell. So you sold, and it paid out for you. You got hundreds and even thousands of pips, especially in this index. This will be thousands of pips. So you know that you what the market was telling you, and you applied it, and you took action, and this is what the trade has shown you so far. All I'm saying is just be careful, because now we're in low altitude, and when we start to see all of this right here form down here in a buying scenario, okay, structure high has been broken. When it comes back and retests the VTC, I'm going to be buying it out of this area. So either you already can be set up for that, or you can wait till all of this shows itself and show you what it is that it wants to do. But you do know the low altitude area, because it has already formed these things, and it's going to be a first retest for you. This right here has already been retested. It was retested way before it was retested here. So this is a lot of times that it took. This right here wouldn't be, in my eyes, strong supply, strong demand, because it lingered there too long. This will be more strong, because it's it's narrow, and it immediately got out of there. It didn't linger around at all. And so that's what it is that you're pretty much wanting. And you don't have to have all of this on, your charts to see that after you've repetition as far as repetition, you've done it a few times. So speed and everything comes with time. I wasn't good on this platform, but I got on here and I just practiced, and I got familiar with the platform. That way that I'm moving it around was, a little bit more swifter and a little bit more of ease, and not like it's so foreign to me, because I get on here to practice. You didn't know how to work your phone before, you played with it a few times. You had it a while. So you have to just get on here and make sure that you practice, and you just do this repetition. So this is how you will always, pretty much approach the market. And so just do what you know to do based off your education. And so this is just how you come up with um your pretty much your entry, and then you know where your take profits is going to be. So basically, if this forms a peak here, then my take profit will be somewhere up in here. If I'm buying here, my take profit will be somewhere up in here. If I'm selling here, my take profit will be down here, due to just the next structure high or structure low that's in the market. And so that's just how I'm thinking. That's just how um, I'm just keeping it simple. And so I'll just be down here waiting on the buy scenario. For those who don't have the patience to wait on that buy scenario, then you can pretty much just take a sell at some of this replaced supply, which would be here, or you can just go higher here, but it may not get you in if you just, but that's just where the supply is. And so that will be not as high as I would like it. I would like it here or here with the sale. But if you're down here, you're late with it, and you want to sell on into this low altitude, which is going to be high probability buying area, just be very careful, because you should be setting up for a buy there. And that's pretty much just all. So when you have this, you'll just say what it is that you can be willing to risk. You can risk 20 pips on there. And then if it gets you out, then you have another entry set up to where you can make the 20 pips back that you lost, and even more. But hopefully one of your entries pretty much catch you. And if you only have a 30 pip um, risk, then you would just separate 15 for this trade and 15 for this trade. The way you're still within your risk management skill. So you just want to make sure that your stop loss is within what you can afford and accept as a loss. But you have several times to pretty much make it back, and even more. So don't get discouraged. As you already know what zone we're supposed to be in. So if you see this structure developing, which looks like a M if it's at supplier, and looks like a W if it's at demand one, if you can see that developing in the zone, you already have a great idea that it should pull out of, then just go ahead and do it. Just go ahead and take the trade, and be brave and be confident, and have a core belief in your education and your knowledge. But this is just how I'm applying the information. And so this is a simple analysis for me, just real quick, but giving you guys a little education with it. Just practice this approach, and this is the same approach no matter what market you're on. It doesn't matter what you're in or what you're on. This is just going to be the same approach, and that's just with anything, regular forex or not. This is a forex pair, and so it's just pretty much the same approach. Put it on monthly, and then you have these same areas. As you can see, is coming from supply, is heading down here to demand. I want to be set up in very low altitude. So I'm looking for, and we can zoom in and make it a little bit more clear for you. And so I'm looking for buys off of this in low altitude because it's already there. And if this right here at this point, it should be waved. It already tested 61 something percent at this order flow here, and it already went up. And so this is already a retest, so you can expect this to break because it's already a retest. So you need to be looking lower for order flow that hasn't been touched, and it's going to be here and here and even here at low altitude and more at the origin of the whole uptrend itself. So always at the origins. This has already happened. Like I told you, look for the W formed at the zone, and that's showing you that demand is being created. Look for the M forming at the zone. I mean, it's not an M to me, it's not a W to me. That's more retail thinking, but to me, it's market structure. It's a market structure pattern. If you look at market structure with wheel, definitely that's just what it is. I've given you notes on market structure. I've shown you the pattern in text book form, so you should be familiar with it. Go and study that. If anything in this video has lost you or this and that, you know that that's an area that you need to go study in. Don't say that it's hard. Don't say that you don't have time. Out of 24 hours, you have 2 hours or 1 hour. I mean, I don't care if you have 15 minutes. Look at it in the 15 minutes that you got. Like, don't make excuse. Just make it happen. And because if you apply it and put it into use, it definitely is going to be a winner for you. So you see these at the zone. I'm just applying the information. I'm at the origin. I'm at low altitude. I'm at high altitude and origin of the move. And if you're trading out in the middle and you're catching losses, then that's you. I mean, you have to be patient. You have to really apply the information and really obey it. And your rules have to be your rules, and your risk management and your account management has to be disciplined. And that's just what it is. So, it's the same thing for everything. If I see it's coming from supply, I already know where it's headed. I'm setting up here. Yes, I know that this is a lot of money that can be made down into it, but why am I taking a risk by trading into it? And then it has gone against me, and now I took a loss. Or I didn't get as much profit as I should have because it wasn't really a high probability trade anyway. This is low. So if it was up here with some of this origin, at least neutral, high altitude, but if you're not here or here or even here, then it's just like, I don't want to be down here. This is just, it's too in the middle. It's just too wishy-washy. We just don't know. There could be indecisiveness here. So, but I already know what smart money has shown me, and only smart money and big money can move it like this. So I want to be here because obviously I see that their transactions and order flow of smart money is here and here to where the market really was smooth. So I'm at the origin, I'm at low altitude, and that's just where I'm set up at. Boom and boom. It hasn't been retested. It's going to be high probability because it's first retest. I'm there. I'm high probability. And it's just what it is. So I hope you guys learned something from this, and I hope you guys definitely put this into action and practice this and push through and be the best that you can possibly be. I appreciate you guys. Thanks.